Are you tired of feeling stuck? Like you know that you were meant for something more, but you just haven't come across your breakthrough moment? In this particular video, I will show you why you haven't yet come across any breakthrough moment. One of the reasons could be that you have missed your breakthrough moment because you were stuck in your comfort zone. And I'm also going to show you how you can break out of your comfort zone and what is it that's going to help you go towards your ultimate transformation. So stick until the very end because this is a very, very significant video in which I'm going to depict everything graphically for you so it makes complete sense. So let's dive into it. So what exactly does it mean that you have not yet reached your breakthrough moment? All it means is that you may be stuck in your comfort zone. And that is the zone which is typically depicted by being very comfortable, by procrastination, by stagnation, by fear of failure. You are just on this side of fear because you are risk averse. Being in your comfort zone, you do not feel the need to take risks because life is good. It's not too good and it's not too bad. It is just good. And you have learned to accept that good is good enough for you. But I'm here to show you that this good enough is the reason that you're not able to reach your breakthrough point. When you are procrastinating and when life is not too great and it's not too bad, it just is. Alarm bells should ring for you because this is the point where you have stopped growing as a person, where your mind is stagnating and your life is stagnating as well. However, you're not realizing that because you haven't done the internal work to figure out what is it that you are missing in life. And I will tell you that what you are missing is the fact that you are not growing. Perhaps because you're stuck at a certain level in life, you have a stable job, you're able to put food on the table, and life is all right. And you have never questioned the status quo because you are a risk-averse person. You do not want to experience what is on the other side of fear. And little do you know that everything, your breakthrough, your transformation, everything lies on the other side of fear. This side of fear is for those who are absolutely risk-averse and they are not going to be able to experience those breakthrough moments because they are not willing to take risks. And even if they try to take 2 steps forward, they will find themselves stepping right back in their comfort zone. And this can be a very difficult situation. And it has also happened to me almost for a decade. I found myself procrastinating. I found myself not being able to wake up in the morning because I didn't have a great reason to wake up for. And that's when I realized that I'm pretty much stagnating. There has to be something that you wake up for every single morning for yourself, not just for your family. When you are doing things for your partner, for your children, for your family, you could be stagnating within. You're working in a very mechanical, kind of robotic fashion. You're just doing things because they need to be done. Breakfast needs to be made. Kids have to be sent to school. Their uniforms have to be ready. You're just doing things. However, you're forgetting that you also need attention yourself. The first thing you need to do is recognize that you are stuck in your comfort zone. You're procrastinating, you're stagnating, you're not feeling too great and you're not feeling too bad. You need to question that. This life is meant to have ups and it's meant to have downs. And life is meant to take the path of least resistance where there are ups, there are downs as well. And if you have a very stable life, and if you seem to be all right with the status quo, that is the first indication that you may be stuck in your comfort zone because you know somewhere deep inside that you're always looking for that breakthrough moment and it hasn't yet come through. And what that requires is you need to be able to take risk in order to experience the other side of fear. If you're going to be leading a life which is totally risk averse and you have a stable income and you have enough money to put food on the table and you have a fairly decent car and you have a house, you really need to worry because you are not growing as a person and you are not coming across across or recognizing that breakthrough moment of yours. And that only comes with the internal work when you have healed internally, because once you have healed, that is the time that you are able to portray a self-image to the mirror of reality, which you wish to experience in your 3D reality. So let's take a look at this first graph. Now, if we were to graph taking action on the y-axis and your mindset shift or transformation on the x-axis, we could divide this graph up into 4 main quadrants. The first quadrant is where you're not taking any incremental or any extra action, or you're not making any incremental effort in your life. Everything is the same. You have the same 9 to 5 job. It's the same income. It's the same salary. Life is pretty much the same. And your mind is also not questioning that. So that is your number 1 quadrant, which is the quadrant of the comfort zone, which I am talking about. You're stuck in quadrant number 1, and that should be ringing alarm bells for you because you're not questioning your status quo. However, deep down inside, you do know that there is something missing. However, you can't pinpoint that because you're stagnating mentally and emotionally. You are procrastinating. That business that you've always wanted to set up, you just don't know how to do it. So you're stuck in the how. You're not able to take the action because you keep wondering, how is it going to happen? And the reason you're worrying about the how is because you have doubt and you fear and you are not confident in your own abilities. So you are going to remain in quadrant 1, which is the quadrant of your comfort zone. And this happens to a lot of people, including myself. And I was literally stuck in quadrant 1 for a whole decade. And then you have to sort of whip yourself up and you have to snap back into reality, as you may. You need to wonder, why am I not questioning the status quo? Why am I procrastinating? I have always wanted to set up my online business venture, but what is holding me back? Aha, it's the how. How am I going to do this? I don't even know how to record a video. I don't even know how to edit a video. It's always the how. That's when you realize that you're just making excuses. These are just sorry old excuses that you are telling yourself that you can't do it for one reason or the other. These are self-limiting beliefs. They are excuses which you need to recognize. And once you recognize that these excuses are very closely related to your comfort zone, that is going to be the time you are going to want to reclaim control of your life. Now, if you look at quadrant 2, it is the same as quadrant 1, except you've had a mental transformation. You have decided to do something about your comfort zone because ultimately, at the end of the day, something is telling you that something is amiss. You're always looking for that breakthrough moment. So you have decided to reclaim control of your life and you have stepped into quadrant 2. Now, this quadrant is a very uncomfortable quadrant. This is depicted by discomfort, fear, hesitation, and doubt. You are in this quadrant. However, you're wondering, why are you even here? Life was so much more comfortable when you were in your comfort zone. Now, why are you even here? You're questioning yourself. I will give you my example. When I got selected in a cycling team and I had bought myself a very inexpensive bike, I had to turn up to trainings every morning from sunrise. And I used to train in the sweltering heat with my team. And to be honest with you, I was not the most liked person in the team either. Nobody wanted me to be a part of their team because I was a newbie. I didn't know much about cycling. I didn't know how to draft. I didn't know how to sprint. If I got selected on the team, people would feel that, the chances of their team winning would become very slim. So it was a very difficult time for me. And I was wondering, why am I even doing this? Why am I learning to train for a team time trial with a team that doesn't even like me and we don't even gel as a team. However, I realized that something felt better over here. This discomfort, the doubt, the fear, it felt slightly better than being stuck in your comfort zone. That was a zone of ultimate laziness. And this, on the other hand, is a zone of competitiveness. It is a zone where I saw light at the end of the tunnel. I felt great cycling, although in the beginning it was very difficult and I was not even good at it. The learning curve was very steep, and I will also show you what that learning curve looked like. However, I want you to take a moment and think about this for yourself. When you are uncomfortable and when you are surrounded by doubt and fear, you need to understand that your discomfort is your new comfort. And when you are able to pinpoint that, yes, this is what feels slightly better, it will be very difficult initially because your version 1.0 is telling you that you are not meant to be in quadrant 2. Why don't you just come back to quadrant 1? It's much more comfortable there. It's easier there. This is where you belong. And that little voice inside you keeps tugging at you and keeps trying to convince you that you are meant to be at quadrant 1. However, you're telling yourself that, something about quadrant 2 feels better. I like the fact that I'm meeting new people. I even like the fact that they don't like me so much in the beginning. However, you are committed to this process of transformation. However, you recognize that you'd much rather be in this discomfort than to go back to your comfort zone. That is the point that you have realized that your old comfort zone is not going to work for you anymore. So let's take a look at the other graph. Now, if we were to graph your growth and transformation on the y-axis and time on the x-axis, now what would that look like? Now, if you are stuck in your comfort zone, the one I mentioned previously, what does that actually look like? Now, this is a plain and simple 45-degree line, because a constant slope can actually be depicted as the risk factor, which is constant throughout the line. So if you're stuck in your comfort zone, you are very risk averse and you are not willing to take any risk. So your risk factor, which can be depicted by the slope of this line, is absolutely constant. At every point in the line, your risk factor is the same. So you're going to have an upward sloping line with the same slope at every point. So let's call this our comfort zone. So this is quadrant A, where you have been stuck in for a very long time. Now, what happens if you decide to put one of your legs in quadrant 2 and then shift to quadrant 2? What does that look like? So this can be depicted by an upward sloping line which doesn't have a constant slope, because you have taken the risk to actually step into a different quadrant. You are leaving your comfort zone behind in quadrant 1 and you are stepping into a different zone of your life. So let's depict this by an upward sloping line. Now, there comes a point in your life where this discomfort is feeling a little bit better for you than your actual comfort zone. So let's call that time T critical. So at T critical, we can draw a vertical line, and this is the line which depicts that this is the point where you actually realize that you do not want to go back into quadrant 1, which is your comfort zone. So at T critical, you take a look at yourself. You know that you are worse off than you were when you were on your comfort zone. And let's call that point A right here. This is the point on your comfort zone, which is higher than point B. Now, point B is the point of intersection at time critical. and it is lower than point A. Your point A is on your comfort zone and your point B is lower than your comfort zone. Now, you realize at this point that you are worse off than you were in your comfort zone. However, you have made a conscious decision to stay here. In this particular quadrant, quadrant 2, you have decided not to go back to quadrant 1. So what happens next? This is your breakthrough point. Now, because you took the risk of sticking around in quadrant 2 and not falling back to quadrant 1, and let me illustrate this with an example. Because I stuck around in my new cycling team and I decided to go all the way with them, I saw a breakthrough moment, and that was when I started being liked by my teammates, and I would win a race here and a race there, and it felt great. I had learned the tricks of the trade. I had learned to rock. I had learned to support my team, and all of a sudden your discomfort has become your new comfort. This is your new comfortable. And that's the moment of T critical, when you have actually set foot into quadrant 3, and that is your breakthrough moment. Because you took the action and because you stuck around, you believe in yourself, you're seeing the results, you're there to reap the benefits of having taken the risk of stepping into quadrant 3. This is your breakthrough moment. Because you took the action, you see growth, there's a direct correlation, and you feel great as a person. So you were actually able to witness your breakthrough moment. Now, what does that look like on our other graph? Now, you can see an upward trajectory from point B onwards. If point B is depicted by T critical, if you move along the x-axis for a little bit of time, it could be a couple of months, 3 months, it could be even 4 months to 6 months. If you move forward in time, it is going to be a very steep learning curve. As I had mentioned earlier on in the video, that the point where you have to learn everything very quickly in a new role which you have undertaken, the learning curve is very steep. So this is what is being depicted on the graph between points B and point C. So if point B is T critical, point C comes at, let's say, T1. Now at T1, you can see a graph of transformation intersecting our comfort zone. Now, this is the most important graph on the point, which is point C. Although you had started off much lower than your comfort zone on point B when the comfort zone was at point A, now you see yourself intersecting your comfort zone at point C, and the time is T1. Now, what does that mean? This is the biggest realization that I've had. This is the point of your ultimate identity shift at point C, where you have actually managed to step into your version 2.0 and you are no more your version 1.0 any longer. Because you took the risk, because you didn't listen to your version 1.0, and because you took the risk, the universe meets you halfway and it puts you all the way up, which is your moment of your ultimate identity shift, when you have shifted into your newer version and you know that you are not going to look back from now on. You are no more your version 1.0 anymore. You have actually shifted timelines and you are on a completely different timeline, and this is the timeline that leads to your goals and your dreams and your desires. And you can see that after point C on the graph, the only place is going up. You have left your comfort zone way below you to the point that it is unrecognizable for you. And the only place is up and forward for you, because you took the risk and because you decided to wait for that breakthrough moment. And this is what actually happened to me. When I competed in my very first national cycling championships. Only a few months after having undertaken cycling, I won my first 2 gold medals, both in the team time trial as well as an individual gold medal in the road race. And that was my very first medal. And I realized at that point that I had shifted timelines and I had actually stepped into my ultimate version 2.0, which felt very strong and confident and worthy. All of a sudden, I felt that, I deserve this. I am worthy of this success. I deserve the gold medal because I worked so damn hard for it. And that moment of realization is your moment of your ultimate identity shift, when you realize that you don't ever want to fall back in quadrant one, which is your comfort zone. Because your new comfort, your new identity is so much better and so much more confident and so much stronger than your comfort zone, only because you allowed yourself and gave yourself permission to take the risk. When you allow yourself to take the risk, that is when the universe meets you halfway, and that is when you go places. So thank you so much for watching. And before I click off, I would like to do a quick recap. So in this particular video, I depicted graphically that we begin by being stuck in our comfort zones. That is the place where we do not experience much growth and we are not able to recognize opportunities coming our way because we have not done the internal work and we have not done the internal healing. And that could also be a place where you're still in your victim mindset, where you still feel that life is happening to you. It is not happening through you. You do not recognize yourself as a vessel born through which life happens, and you are born to fulfill the purpose of serving the people of this universe, of serving mankind, of serving humanity, because you're stuck in your comfort zone and life seems to be all right. It is neither too great and it is not too bad either. So you're not willing to take the risk to change the status quo because you have been in this status quo for so long that you'd rather remain here than have to take an ounce of risk and risk everything that you have. The fact that you're able to put food on the table, the fact that you have a 9-to-5 job which pays you a stable paycheck and you're okay with that. And that dream that you've always had of setting up a business or an entrepreneurial venture, you're not even going to go there because it seems so far-fetched for you. But I will tell you what, it is only far-fetched as long as you are in your comfort zone. Once you step out of your comfort zone into the quadrant 2, and that is the quadrant of ultimate discomfort. However, in this quadrant, your dream is much closer to you than it is from quadrant 1, which is a much more comfortable quadrant. So when you step into quadrant 2, you are in ultimate discomfort. You are not happy with your life. You are questioning why you're even here. You are comparing this place to your previous comfort zone, and you constantly keep telling yourself that, that seemed a little bit better than this. I didn't have to wake up early in the morning. I didn't have to train with my team in the sweltering heat. I didn't have to listen to people yelling at me and telling me how bad I am at cycling, until you decide that no matter what happens, you will just stick around here for a little bit longer because you have developed a little bit of faith in yourself. And you kind of want to go up from here because you recognize that that comfort zone wasn't serving you in any way. So a few things happen because of this discomfort. This discomfort makes you question your status quo. It makes you question, why are you stuck in your comfort zone? And you also question, why are you staying here? And why are you not going back? Because something is telling you that this is a better place to be than stepping back into your comfort zone. Although a lot of people do end up stepping back in their comfort zone and they never see that breakthrough moment. But that's what I'm here to tell you and show you, that if you stuck around just a little bit longer in this discomfort, the next stop is your breakthrough moment. This is the moment when you realize that you will never go back into your comfort zone and that you spend way too much time in your comfort zone. And you will also hold yourself responsible at this time for spending so much longer in the comfort zone than you ever have to. But that's where you should learn not to be too hard on yourself and learn to forgive yourself. Look forward. Do not look back. Your breakthrough moment is right after your discomfort. And once you have stepped into quadrant 3, that is your breakthrough moment. That is point B on the graph. And that is the point where you realize that there is no looking back. Although you know that you are lower than point A, you have decided that you are not going to look back and you're not going to listen to that old version calling you back. At that point, the only way is up. And at point C, T1, you realize that you have grown so much as a person. You are as comfortable as you were in your comfort zone. However, you've grown so much as a person. And by growth, I mean your mindset has transformed. You have recognized that that was your comfort zone. This is not your comfort zone. And you also recognize that this is not the end of the journey. This is the beginning of the journey. And that's at point C, at time T1. And this is the biggest realization you've had because you've seen your breakthrough moment. And this is the moment that you've been waiting for your entire life. So once you have left that comfort zone behind and you've stopped listening to that voice calling you back, you will experience your breakthrough moment. You will meet point C on the graph. And once you have crossed that point C, you will realize that your learning curve was very steep. However, it has transformed you as a person. You have never experienced so much mindset growth in your life like you did in these past few months or past few years. And you recognize that. And you also recognize that this is the place to be. When you take risks, the universe meets you halfway. So thank you so much for watching. I will be very grateful if you could please give me a thumbs up. If you could please subscribe to my channel. And please leave me a comment. Let me know if you liked my video. That would mean the world to me. Thank you so much.